It's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 24. We're going to get into that in just a little bit, but of course, we want to start off by saying hello to you, those watching live, maybe on the replay as well. And obviously, we'll spend some time at the end. But coming up next, episode 24 of the Auburn Experience podcast right here. War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back, E2C Network family. You know what it is. It's Sunday night. Live recording. Austin Scott back in the house. Obviously, your other co-host, myself. You see me all the time. You're tired of me, Kyle Loomis. What's going on, Austin?
War Eagle Kyle, episode 24. The Cadillac episode is coming up here.
I almost forgot about that. I knew you wouldn't let me forget that. That's,
Never.
I'll have to bring that up in the recording too.
Yes, but hey, busy week for Auburn athletics. It is busy week for Auburn University, but it is an extension of the university as athletics. But yeah, I mean that's what you get with crossover, right? This is the time of year where shout out to all the support staff working hard behind the scenes and trying to maintain that work-life balance as best they can.
I know how hard it is for me to keep track of the stuff and do something for everybody, and so I can't imagine what each of the SIDs have to put up with. So, it is their world; they know it, and they know what they have to do with this time of the year. But it give at least just job security, right?
That's right.
That's one way to look at it. So as you guys come into the stream, obviously we'll start our recording here in just about 4 minutes or so. I like to start about the 5-minute mark of us going live. We want to say hello to some of you. Some of you have already started that. So post where you're watching from, your city, your state, international with a War Eagle. And of course, smash the like button. It does help the stream out. It's a good way to get started. And we'll take any comments or questions or topic things that you want us to hit right now. Maybe some a little bit after, but if there's anything that's on your mind tonight before we get started recording, post it now. How was the weather there, Austin? Because here, I know there was a lot of schedule adjustments for Auburn with the weather potentially getting too cold and maybe some icy conditions, but it didn't really get that bad, did it?
No, we had some tornadic threats.
Maybe that's what it is, what it was.
Never got too bad. Lots of rain, lots of wind, but all precautionary. We moved some stuff around at my work too. But the cold front that has come after all that weather has been very cold, and it looks like we're getting into the 70s this week, so that's a nice change of pace.
I was about to say, it's like 2 days too short. It would have been beautiful weather to be outside and be around at some of these Auburn things if it had been 70s there. Just
it's like it would have been perfect. Didn't stop people from coming out to Plainsman Park and Jane B. Moore Field, which is always good. But yeah, hopefully, midweek games and I think they go up to Huntsville this week, but hopefully next weekend will provide some pretty baseball weather.
And, it's really interesting too, because we go from having this humongously busy weekend in Auburn to nothing, because like they send them away after that. So sometimes it's good when they stagger the baseball and softball and you have one or the other, but then, it kind of gets boring when it's nobody here versus maybe having them all here at the same time. Brian says 8 to 22 inches of snow coming Tuesday to Thursday. Whew.
No thanks, Brian. No thanks.
Brian, I haven't seen 8 inches in the last 4 years. That should tell you something out here. Want to come and visit and experience a snowstorm. I actually love the snow, and I think it's going to be cold. It should be snowing, but that's just me. I actually really like it. Football schedule, you pick wins and losses. That's too big a thing to tackle in just a short segment here. So if Austin, if you just have any quick thoughts on it.
No, I feel like this comes up every couple of weeks, which is fine. That means we have new people hanging out with us. I think you and I have landed around 7 or 8 wins.
I think 8 wins.
Cooper might be wanting us to go through the schedule, and that might be a summer thing or media days thing once we get closer to that time. But 7 to 8 wins. I think 9 would be great. 10 would be exceptional, but we'll have to see.
So 9 would be overachieving for you.
Yeah, I think just slightly. But I think 8 is probably like right there where I expect. 7 would be like, first year, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I would be disappointed in probably 6 or 7 though.
I wouldn't be disappointed in 6 or 7. I would be understanding of it, given the nature of where we are. I don't know that I would get disappointing. Would be not making a bowl game. I think Auburn's capable of making a bowl game every year, just given, the talent pool that we can draw from and all that kind of stuff. So I think 8 wins should always be kind of your benchmark, and then move that benchmark. However, whatever information you get. Otherwise, if you got injuries in preseason, obviously that can kind of change things. Cooper says 6 to 8, so that's kind of where we're sitting at. So I think it's probably wise for Auburn fans to temper their expectations in year one, so we don't set up a Harsin situation again. And when the deliveries don't come as quickly as we want, we don't make another decision to do things again to get us in further holes. I'm not going to open that rabbit hole tonight. So we are ready to start recording. As a reminder, for those of you that are regulars here, you know the drill, but for those of you that are new, even watching on the replay, while we're doing this, we typically don't address comments or questions for about 30 minutes of the recording. We may every once in a while if we see something that's really relevant. But for now, we are going to just close that down, and we'll address you guys a little bit after the show. But we're going to hit some topics of, obviously, the spring sports getting started, NBA AllStar stuff for Walker and Jabari, and then obviously a little Auburn potpourri to get us started off at the very beginning. So, Austin, if you are ready, we will get this thing rolling.
Let's go.
Here we go, sir. In 3, 2, 1. David Housel said it best: the whole of the Auburn experience. It encompasses a wide variety of peoples, places, things, concepts, and ideas. But of course, at its heart and at its core, it is all about sports. It is all about our culture, and of course, all about the Auburn family. So because it is about the family, we've got to invite the Auburn family members in. And the most important one for this show, probably Mr. Austin Scott, joining myself, your other co-host, Kyle Loomis. Austin, Cadillac episode number 24.
Number 24. This is the one you've been waiting for, Kyle. It is the Cadillac episode of our little experiment here. And I can't wait for folks to just have another episode where you talk about Cadillac for 30, 45 minutes.
I could just gush about that man forever. Now, so you think that's bad? Get me started on Cody Burns and how much I love that man.
We passed 18, Kyle.
We did. I know, and I dropped the ball on that one, but because of the significance of Cadillac, what would have been really smart for us, Austin, is if we had teamed up with Niffers on the day that they announced their new Cadillac menu item to have the Cadillac episode, which means we probably should have delayed this one for a little bit, so we missed that opportunity.
Yeah, they haven't announced that, right? Just as a follow-up to a previous episode for everyone. They have not announced that.
My understanding is it has not been announced. I thought they announced a date that they were going to, but I haven't been able to find it. Not that I've really been looking all that hard for that specific day. I figured it would be going all over social media when it happens, but I'm equally awaiting that because next time I go to Niffers, as long as it doesn't have mushrooms in it, I'm going to be trying it. I'm not a mushroom fan, to be honest with you.
I'm not either, but I'm interested to see what comes up and if our grand ideas were picked, which they probably weren't because somebody else probably picked something much better than ours, but we had worthy submissions.
We did. What was yours? It was like a burrito. What was it?
Crunch wrap.
Crunch wrap. That's what it was. That's what it was. I love that idea. I hope that somebody over there took that idea and ran with it, and hopefully they'll. Somebody was watching out there, at least pass the information along to them. So. We could talk about that all day because I love talking about Auburn food and food places. But let's, a little Auburn potpourri to start off. And we've already kind of got that started. I'm going to throw this out there to get us going so we can talk about some happy things because I know everybody's not happy with basketball right now. But the XFL is back at it again for the third time. Will is third time the charm? Who knows? Why is that important for Auburn? Because one of the things that I love about these spring football leagues is because it gives an opportunity for these Auburn players to be seen again. And that's why I love the AAF before they folded, the XFL before the pandemic took them out, and the USFL because you get to see these guys again, those that either haven't been able to maintain on an NFL roster, or just for whatever reason, you get the opportunity to watch those players that you love so much again in the XFL. And so the season has arrived again. Are you going to be watching any XFL games, Austin?
It snuck up on me, and we're, we had the Super Bowl last week, so pro football I'm kind of phasing out right now, getting into some baseball and more into basketball. But my football itch will always come back up, no matter what. And so I'll probably tune in a little bit. To be honest with you, I was more in favor of the USFL last year. I thought it went pretty well. I'm from Birmingham, and so they had a team, so that always kind of makes it a little bit more interesting to me. But I remember the XFL the first time around. We've talked about Trevon Reed on this show. He was on the St. Louis Battlehawks last time.
Yep.
I think they're a team in it again. Am I
They
right,
are.
Kyle?
But they have AJ McCarron now.
Okay, well, they're not going to be my team now. They were last time. Trevon is obviously not in the XFL this time. He's doing greater things.
Listen, Trevon Reed ain't done yet, so he can't even go back over there because he's not done yet.
That's right. But so yeah, I'll tune in eventually, and I always like to see our Auburn guys succeed, so I'll definitely keep up with them.
Yeah.
But you were telling me that we had a few players that you could remember.
I don't have the full list in front of me, but I think it was about 6 or 7 guys. The big one, Sal Canela. Obviously didn't have the most, in terms of numbers, statistics, the most successful number or time here at Auburn, but is done pretty decently at this minor league football level. Whether it was at the USFL, I think he was with the Breakers there, but now he's going to be playing in the XFL for the Renegades, which was the team I latched onto, led by Bob Stoops. I know that's kind of, most people don't like Bob Stoops, but I kind of liked him. And Cameron Artis-Payne, the former running back, used to play for them. He's not doing that this year. But now I've got another kind of higher profile skill player, Auburn player to latch onto. Canela, I think he had like 7 catches for 70 yards or something like that. So pretty decent day at the office opening up. So there's other guys. Mike Horton, offensive line, I know is there. Tavares Davis is there. Devontae Lambert. And I'm leaving out a few of those, but that's why I love these, Austin, because we get to see these guys again, maybe not in an Auburn uniform, but in some ways we can find a reason to latch onto them,
Yeah. Well, and it so far over the last few years when all these spring leagues have kind of tried to rejuvenate again. And it looked like the XFL was in a good spot before the pandemic hit, which who could have seen that coming? These leagues have been able to send players that have done well, and the NFL's taking notice, and they're able to get another shot in the big league. So I hope that works out for guys like Canela. I hope it works out for other Auburn guys. But it'll be fun to see and track. I hope that we have someone on Auburn Twitter, or maybe the E2C account is planning on tracking it a little bit, that can help us keep up with just the Auburn guys specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able to watch every XFL game, but maybe those E2C Network Twitter people might, whoever runs that account might figure something out about that.
We were planning on doing that. No, and I honestly, I have all these ideas of things that I want to do for the Auburn family and stuff. It's just, it's time is the biggest thing right now. So, I want to do some things like that, but I will personally be keeping track of it. If there's something big enough, we'll mention it again. But especially because it started and you get the opportunity to see this, that's our biggest reminder to you all. Go check it out. Go see some of these players that you haven't got to see in a few seasons now, especially when they're doing as well as Sal has started off. So XFL underway. Other thing we want to talk about in Potpourri real quick. Don't want to spend a lot of time on it because it's not fun. Basketball struggle bus continues. Not necessarily because we're a bad team and not necessarily because we don't deserve to win, but because we keep just having a stroke of bad luck in terms of not being able to finish. Now, some of that's by our own doing. We shouldn't be in positions to be, having last second shots affect us or referees affect us. But crunch time, in my opinion, Austin, has arrived for the men's basketball team. They have now exhausted the time that they had to figure this out and get things done. It has to start now, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, another late game defensive breakdown yesterday at Vanderbilt it's a disgrace of a basketball arena. in Nashville.
It's so awful. It's awful.
It's just
It's
ridiculous.
awful.
Like just fall in line
Burn
like
it
everybody
down.
else. You're just because you're nerds, you're not smart. Anyway, just the and so another defensive breakdown for Auburn, and it cost them a game. But I think you're right, Kyle. With 4 to 5 games maybe left on the SEC slate,
Yep.
It's crunch time. Things got to happen, and the schedule doesn't let up. You still have Alabama and Tennessee on that schedule to go. Kentucky, while not as what they usually are, they're still on the schedule, and it's at their place. So, Auburn has to find ways to put it together enough to get in the tournament. I still think this team can get in the tournament. I still think, as of right now, they are in the tournament. But they've got to keep making their case and proving it, or they're gonna be sweating it out on decision day.
Yeah, I think this team is still not reached its potential. I think this team is a lot better than it has shown. All of these things that needed to kind of come together just are like missing by, if one guard is not doing well, then the other guard is doing well. And if they all come together at the right time, at the right moment, peak at the right moment, this team can compete with anybody. I mean, they went to toe-to-toe with Alabama, who's one of the best in the nation.
And it looked like it was close when to coming all together when they played Missouri this past week. I mean, just an absolute beatdown of a team that took A&M on the ropes, and A&M second in the league right now with only 2 conference losses. So had beaten Tennessee the week before. And so it's there. But at this point, it's like you and I've been saying, and you've been saying for longer, it's all there in front of them. It's all up to them at this point. If they can't put it together, they're going to be not in the big dance.
We hope it will be the reality for them. But as we said, crunch time has arrived. Let's keep it in the basketball realm, but we're going to do things that are a little bit more happy for us right now. And also kind of hearkening back to what we started talking about in the first segment, guys after they've left Auburn. And one of the things that we have been continuously blessed with by having Bruce Pearl is not only has he rejuvenated the program in a sense, and not in a sense, in reality, but he's also made Auburn's existence outside of what happens on a college court a reality now and more prevalent. This weekend was the NBA All-Star Weekend. Now, I'm going to be the first to tell you, I really don't invest that much in professional sports outside of the Atlanta Braves, and I honestly, that's fallen off for me a little bit too. But NBA, NFL, if you've got an Auburn person, I connect with you. Kind of like we talked about with the XFL. I don't really have any other reason other than that to watch it, but I will. NBA All-Star Weekend. Since the days of Charles Barkley, we really haven't had someone to, and that's beyond you and I's time, to latch onto on this particular weekend. But that has changed. It honestly started changing a long time ago. Not a long time ago, a few seasons ago when Chuma got into the league, Isaac Okoro, Sharif, JT Thor got in the league. But when 2 guys last season from that amazing team that we had, Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith, came onto the scene, they stepped out there and said, these are part of that group that Bruce continuously is now putting into the league, but they're at a different level because they made the rising all-stars. It's almost like the freshman class, and it really is, of the all-star group, the people that everybody is paying attention to, who they're expecting to be the next big stars of the league. Walker Kessler, Jabari Smith on their individual teams, the Utah Jazz for Walker, Houston Rockets for Jabari, made that honor, that game. It was really cool to sit there and watch it because, Austin, unless I'm wrong, there's been no one else that's made it thus far.
No, I don't think Isaac's made it. I think he would probably be the only other one that made it in his first couple years. But no, I mean, it's really cool. And I think it makes you want that next step. And I think Jabari and Walker can both get there of being in the All-Star game, which is going on right now while we're recording. And I think that would be something that is just another rung on the ladder of Auburn's kind of resurgence in basketball, is to see their guys enter the NBA All-Star game with the likes of the rest of the greats in the sport. And so, yeah, it's super cool. The game this year is in Salt Lake City where the Utah Jazz play. So Walker is just, revered for his big rookie year. And they love him out there, and so it's cool that he's getting to do that at home. But man, I thought it was so cool when Auburn basketball put out, and they were able to get the live reactions from the guys, because they sent a guy out there, which that's probably never happened either.
Yeah.
But the live reactions of Jabari and Walker watching the videos Bruce sent to each of them, and the personal videos to them of how proud he is of them and how much he misses them, and how it's been so long, but not that long at all. But he's seeing them do things where they achieve their dreams. And those started at Auburn, and thanking them for coming to Auburn. It was super cool. It was really cool to see those guys still love Auburn. Walker Kessler still wearing the bucket hat. I think that was the new bucket hat. So they must have taken one out there for him.
Little package thing, I'm sure.
Yeah. And so just really cool to see guys like that who are already having success in the National Basketball Association, but still have deep Auburn ties, even if they were only here for 1 year, less than a year. So I love it. I can't wait to see how their careers go and how they continue to have a tie with Auburn through all of it.
Yeah, they sent, and I believe this is his title, creative director of basketball, Stephen Leonard, out there. Does great work. And he was even saying, kind of on his own personal account, like he doesn't know of any other opportunity that's come for someone in his position like this from Auburn. So this is like, and he was probably the only one that a college sent to go cover them, to go get those reactions, to, share that content from there. And look, we're not going to sit here and act like Auburn's exclusive, that no other team's ever tried something like this before, but you just don't see it happening, or at least promoted the way that Auburn does it, the way that they try to maintain that relationship with the people that have moved on past being a part actively of a program. And you see that. You see Jabari, reacting to things that happen at Auburn now. Same thing for Walker as well. So what I loved about, and as someone who doesn't really care about the NBA outside of the Auburn guys, is seeing on the big stage on national television in the Rising Stars game, them getting announced and seeing our guys up on the stage there. That was just so cool for me. It was like really surreal, because that's the stuff that you like dream of seeing. We didn't get to live during the Charles Barkley day. I was alive, but you didn't get to live during the prime of it, the most of it. So this really feels like, to me, it's ironic, it's the Rising Stars game that they were part of, the Rising Stars AllStars. They are a new wave of Auburn basketball at that level that I just don't think people grasp, especially students, grasp what they've been a part of with this group of guys that are coming through 1 year to the next and then going to the next level. So my advice to students, to fans, it may be a little bit rough right now, but understand where we've been and where we're going.
Yeah, just appreciate it all. It's still shocking to see that there's guys in the NBA that are, getting drafted in the top 5 or in the first round for much less, that have the Auburn name beside them. And they both do, and they're both excelling at an early time. We see their jerseys popping up in the jungle. It used to be all you could find was a Charles jersey in the jungle, and it was, what else do they have? But now, sporadic, whether it's a Nakoro jersey, a Jabari jersey, there's always a bright neon Walker jersey right behind TV during games. And so it's super cool to me. One little thing that I love seeing is the big, and I'm a social media guy, so the Rockets and the Jazz both tweeted pictures of Walker and Jabari seeing each other again. And we're able, one of them put a War Eagle reunion. And I'm like, these are national major league brands putting War Eagle, because everybody knows those two were at Auburn last year. Those two were on the team that went to number 1. And so that's just cool to me. For me to have watched some bad basketball for Auburn when I was younger, to now see that NBA teams actually know where these guys went to college and care enough that it's Auburn and embrace it is super cool. I don't think I'll ever get over that. I hope I don't ever get over that.
Like I said, it's a testament to Bruce Pearl, what he's been able to accomplish for the program, whether it's currently with the team he has and now with the future, in a sense, that he's sent off beyond him. it's that, but it's a testament to the Auburn family. And what I say, if you are a pro team out there, semi-pro team, whatever, somebody outside of Auburn, if you want to have a big draw, TV attendance, like actual physical attendance, get an Auburn player on there. We will show up. There, like you said, these prominent national basketball teams, YL, you don't see them saying rock chalk. Like, I'm sorry, you don't see that. You don't see go Blue Devils, whatever it is, or, go Heels. Maybe every once in a while you might see that. But, like, who in what world would thought they would type War Eagle?
Yeah.
It just blows my mind. It really does.
It's crazy. It's cool. I hope it continues. I think that the culture Bruce has established will continue to bring in guys of that caliber, and we'll keep seeing this.
So I would like a prediction from you. I love getting predictions out of people. Clint hates it. Did that to him recently on a little bit of a small show we did here. But if you had to pick one, Walker or Jabari, to make the All-Star game first, let's assume they both can't make it at the same time. It's highly likely they both could, just given how they're both doing. But like, if you had to pick one, we're not talking Rising All-Stars game because that's done for them now. All-Star, what's going on right now as we're recording this? Who is it, Walker or Jabari?
Man, that's a really good.
It is hard. It's a tough one.
I wanted to say Walker at first because I think his blocks and what we saw while he was at Auburn, his blocks have made him so unique, and he, as Bruce called him, he's the best player in the air. And I think that has helped him kind of establish a footing there in Salt Lake. But I think Jabari, after he figures out the league in the first year, and even some in the second year, I think he's going to take off with the Rockets, and the potential he has and the focus he's going to be on that team to be able to score and play defense as the guy there. I think he'll be able to put up some numbers that'll get him there first. And I don't remember how much of the All-Star making the All-Star game is voting, but if you factor that into, I would think Houston might have a bigger market than Salt Lake City, but that's getting too into the weeds.
And they do like this thing where they pick the teams now, like LeBron and whoever else is the prominent player picks the teams these days. So it's weird, but either way, I think actually it'll be Walker. And I want to say it's Jabari. I think that's honestly the easy answer, and it's not, doesn't make it any less right. Mm-hmm. But to me, I just feel like it's Walker where I stand currently. Either way, doesn't matter, because the reality is they're both going to make it, right? That's what we know is going to happen. It's awesome, though, for now. Rising All-Stars. And that means, of course, they'll be making the All-Star game, the actual game, soon enough. Let's move away from some basketball talk and actually talk a little bit more about the spring sports, and specifically the diamond sports. We did a little bit of a preview last week because softball had just gotten going, and we were on the eve of baseball season. It is here, folks. It felt like it was just yesterday for me that I was watching many games from the parking garage overlooking, which is not bad seats, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes for the people on the podcast. To watch the action from up there. You can stay out of the sun, all that. I shouldn't be saying this because now people are going to go steal all my spots up there.
Stay out of the rain that one night that
one
saw each other. Yeah.
But still, nothing beats actually being in that Plainsman Park on a packed house. I mean, they had the fall game and I attended. Mm-hmm. I forget which weekend it was, but it was just completely packed out. Cheerleaders showed up to cheer at a baseball game, which was a little weird. Shout out to Dalton Odom. Mike Mann was there. It's baseball it kind of feels like a lot what's been happening with basketball the last few years. It's finding its footing again, its resurgence. And I think you saw that reflected with at least one sellout. Was it both? All sellouts?
I saw one. I think they were touting yesterday's, the Saturday game. Sundays are always harder to get a sellout for, but I think I know there was at least one. I believe it was the Saturday game.
Yeah. So that's just a testament to what Butch is putting out there, what the program is doing right now. So obviously we don't know what this season's going to look like yet. We'll be updating as much as, we feel like we need to here on this podcast series and on the channel and anything else out there that E2C Network puts out. But opening weekend versus Indiana, I don't see anything to be worried or like I shouldn't say super excited, because there are a lot of things to be excited about. But they kind of did exactly what I thought. They won the series, and we saw some new faces that people are a lot excited about. Ike Irish. We saw some familiar names, and Joseph Gonzalez throwing in just a beautiful gem of a game. So that's just a couple of my takeaways. Anything that you took away from the Diamond Sports, or specifically baseball right now?
I mean, I think that they did it, like you said, what we expected them to. You don't think of baseball much with the Big Ten, where Indiana's from.
I know it was odd to think about Indiana having a baseball team. Like,
very strange. But, Coach Thompson said it, that they are an experienced team. They're a team that can break out and score a lot of runs.
Oh, yeah.
And it could come at any point. It came today during the Sunday game, all at one time. But, Auburn did well enough to win the series against them. Like you said, Joseph Gonzalez still recovering from a little bit of an injury, threw 41 pitches in 5 innings, and just did exactly what you expect your best guy to do. You mentioned some newcomers that seem to be fitting in perfectly, Ike Irish being one of them with a great Auburn debut. It was super cool. Love that it's back. Love the new uniforms that were in style this weekend.
So you are a fan of the blue things.
Now that I've seen them and in person, or not in person, but seen them in action, I think I'm a fan of the blue pants, the whole blues. Love the creams. I think the creams I like way more than any of them with the script.
That's a common sentiment. I feel like I think what you said's right. And I got the opportunity because I went to a practice before the day that they actually debuted the Blues, and was there with Clint Richardson and saw them in person. And I remember they looked good and looked cool, but they didn't it didn't come at me in my face, oh, that's blue, like it does on social media for some reason. I think because everyone's focusing in, oh, look how blue those things are. But they do look good, but the cream ones, like you said.
I would love a cream jersey. I mean, I think that a little bit of a vintage feel, but just looks really good. And so I hope we get to see a lot of that. And then one of the coolest things, which I never thought of happening, was Friday night, the opening day. Auburn Athletic Director John Cohen calls the game with Brad Law. A renowned baseball coach from Mississippi State.
Yep.
Championship. An incredibly successful coach, championship coach, who knows so much about the sport, steps in while the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, has to go to Nashville to call the basketball game. And Brad is exceptional in his own right. But that was an amazing broadcast, and it's such a cool thing to be able to see your athletic director kind of take a different role and really showcase his knowledge. And for me, when I heard little tidbits of it, it showed, this guy has such a unique perspective as a former coach on the whole of the athletics, right?
Right.
He knows so much about baseball specifically, but I think a lot of that, because he can relate to student athletes and relate to their needs and relate to what really contributes successfully to the team and to a university, helps him navigate an entire athletic department. But him on the radio was super cool. I never thought I would see something like that. And he might have done that at Mississippi State. I have no idea. I mean, frankly, I wouldn't have known anyway, and quite honestly wouldn't have cared.
You mean you don't follow Mississippi State social media with a passion, sir?
I don't follow Mississippi State radio broadcast tendencies or anything like that. But I thought that was super cool. I hope we get some more of that with some overlap. I'm sure it helped out Andy and Brad and the radio team.
Yeah.
To have, just your athletic director step in and call the game with you.
And it's interesting too, because and not to just play the comparison game, but former athletic director Alan Green was a former baseball player himself, and he's a pretty charismatic guy. Can get up in front of a microphone, carry himself very well. I kind of wish we had gotten that from him a little bit now that I've experienced it, because I do think that's so cool, because everyone thinks of you as the guy in the office, right? Or the one that everybody blames when things aren't going well, especially if you're not firing the coach they want you to fire, or hiring the coach that you don't want them to hire. We'll open that wound tonight. But I love the idea of it. It gives them an opportunity to engage with the fan base more than they normally would, because you see them sitting at the games. They'll pan over there and show them on the jumbotron, and they'll wave at the camera. They'll throw the pitch out for a game or something like that. Like, they'll do the traditional things. This is not traditional, and that's Auburn has its traditions, but it's its own traditions. And so I love this. Do we get this every single time there needs to be a spot filled? No, I'm sure. But was it a great one-off thing that maybe they can do once a year or something like that? I want it. I demand it. Give me these things. Give me these cool little connective tissues like that for reasons to like latch on to these, especially office people, a little bit more. So I love that you brought that up because I thought it was just like a guest spot like it normally was. I didn't realize till a little bit later, oh, he was there for the whole game.
Yeah, no, me too. And it was really cool. And like you mentioned, I don't think it will happen every game. I don't think it really should happen every game.
Right.
I think Brad called the game by himself Saturday, which just shout out. I cannot imagine calling an entire baseball game by yourself when you're the only person to talk to, or talk to yourself is the only person you have to talk to.
I know what that feels like.
I bet you do. But super cool. And I do hope we get to see more of that. I think that is something, not to get too far off the beaten path here, but when we talk about people who have struggled to kind of integrate themselves into the Auburn community, that is the way you absolutely do that. And get out there and make yourself, approachable per se, and just talk about what you love. And usually most of the time, Auburn people can find a common ground with talking about what you love, and those things tend to work out. So love that idea. And like you said, hope we get to see more of that.
Also, not to, could be dismissed or forgotten about here. Softball was home this weekend and utterly dominated. And listen, it's not unheard of, right? These early season tournaments that softball plays, especially the ones that you host at home, they tend to be somewhat teams you're supposed to beat to get you geared up for that conference play or before you go play some maybe stiffer competition series and non-conference play. So it's not like, oh, wow, Auburn did something they never done before, but still you took care of business at home. It just seems like they've got all the pieces they need this year, not saying for a championship run or anything like that. They've already lost one game, I think, on the road, but that seems to be rolling good. The good vibes have started for baseball, obviously, with this. So, I don't know how you could ask for a better start to the spring diamond sports than what you got thus far. Series wins and everything galore for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to start off strong in your non-conference because the SEC is going to be an absolute war, and that will never change. And so, yeah, good starts and good foundations laid, and it'll be fun to watch them keep going.
And we will definitely watch it and update you guys as appropriate here on the Auburn Experience podcast. But for this episode, that's going to do it. We appreciate you all tuning in to episode 24, the Cadillac episode, as we call it. We'll give every other name apparently an episode going forward. We'll call the next one the Darren Bates episode because I think he was 25 or whoever else was.
There you go. 25. Well, Colby Wooden was 25. Right?
Colby Wooden was 20. There, that's even better. It's the Colby Wooden episode.
You know what? Kyle Frazier's last year as a safety. He plays number 25.
Kyle Frazier episode, whatever you want to put on there, we will do it. Either way, episode 24, the Cadillac episode in the books. Obviously, we want to tell where you can keep up with us. Austin, where can they find you?
Austin G. Scott on Twitter, Instagram, and I'm sure I'll make some poor comments that you can rake me about over the coals. And maybe share a video of you dropping your computer time and time again. Yeah, that thing. You can keep up with me on Twitter. You can keep up with me on Twitter at KyleElmis24, obviously over there. And then obviously, keep track of all the E2C Network stuff. Thank you guys for being part of this episode. Till we talk to you again. War Eagle. War Eagle.
All right. That is a wrap on episode 24. We will hang around for a few minutes here and take any comments or questions or address ones from the show earlier. Kevlar
I went to Mama Goldbergs tonight in case you wanted to know.
I can tell, and I'm very jealous of you, sir, because
I live here and there's multiple here.
Shut up. Don't rub that in my face anymore. Did you go to the real one? That's the only one, right?
Yep.
Clint and I got into this debate several times. He used to love the Thatch one that's no longer existent.
Yeah.
Mama's Love all the way?
I'm a gobbler all the way.
So what's in the gobbler again?
I could look it up, but it's on like
fine, yeah.
the brown bread. I think they're very similar. It's just one
Turkey
meat.
based.
One meat is switched.
Okay. I used to be a turkey delight guy. Love, I still am.
Me too.
But you just got to have your mama's love. It is
so good. That's what Emily gets. That's what she got tonight.
I can't turn it down in any stretch of the imagination. Kevlar says, I want to see a Leor Berman jersey. Well, if he plays like he has been, you might just see it out there one day. But he, listen, I think Leor knows that he is a role player on this team, and he is playing that role very well and maximize it. How about him backing down that guy in the paint last night? I said, okay, Leor. He said, I'm not just a 3-point shooter. I'm a paint driver too.
Yeah, that's right. I love Leor, and he got in there and fought for balls last night and been diving on the court. Leor's been showing the essence of the role player for sure. So I hope he keeps getting the minutes he's earned.
Oh, he's definitely earned them. And I think that's why you've seen them increase. And the fact that he's become our most reliable 3-point shooter in a sense, I think that's fair to say. I mean, what's he like? Or he was at one point, I think 4 for 4 of his over the last 2 games, but then I think he missed one. Yeah. Something like that. It was crazy consistent. Brian says the Timberwolves drafted Walker, then traded him to Utah. That hurt was similar to the Vikings drafted and then cut Daniel Carlson. When will my Minnesota teams learn? Things aren't going well in Minnesota.
No.
They make poor decisions. They lose Super Bowls. They thought they had it when Brett Favre was the quarterback, but not quite, my friends. Not quite.
Well, I mean, I think I saw an interview this past year with Zimmer, the coach who cut Daniel Carlson after having a bad game. And he said that was the one player he regrets cutting the most in his career. And I was like, well, serves you right, because he's the best.
He is the best. And he obviously didn't bother him all that much because he just showed up and did what he's supposed to do, contribute and earn playing time. And then now he's in the Rising All-Stars, or he was in the Rising All-Star games, and likely will be an All-Star very, very soon. It's one thing to cut like a quarterback and then watch them go somewhere else and have success, because you might expect that. But a kicker, like that, just almost, to me, that's worse. That you were petty and cut a kicker because he missed one field goal, and then he goes on and becomes the best kicker in the league. I mean, is there anybody better than him right now?
No. I mean, you could argue some of the old dudes who've been in it for forever. But Legatron's got all the 50-yarders, and I think I don't know how many he made this year, but he's thriving out in Vegas. So Minnesota, I'm sure they wish they still had him.
But so are they adopting the Legatron name, or is it just Auburn fans keeping that alive?
I have no idea. I think they have adopted it. I think I've seen them adopt it.
It better be, because that is the best. I don't know who started that.
My fantasy football group every year with my friends, the winner gets a jersey of someone on their team, and that was who I chose this year. He was my kicker, and I won the league, and I said, "I'll get me a Legatron jersey."
We got a super chat from David Wells. David, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you. Glad to hear from you too, buddy. We haven't been able to talk in a while, so I saw you dropped me a message in the Booster Club app, so I'll go there and check that out later. But glad to see you here, hanging out with us tonight, sir. Brian says, missed 3 field goals in 1 game, still a horrible decision. Right, because everybody has a bad game. So now if Carlson had a string of 3 games and he hadn't made a single field goal, or was like maybe 1 for 2 every night, then you start going, okay, well, maybe we bench him. But just to flat out cut him?
In his rookie year,
the Vikings are not in a position to be making those decisions. Frankly.
No. And I think, they traded 2 picks to draft up and get him that year in the 5th round. So you wasted 3 picks to cut a guy 6 months later.
Yeah, it's stupid. It was absolutely.
The only thing that I wish had happened is that he had a chance to kick a game-winning field goal against them before that guy got fired.
This is a mistype here. 2nd game iPod of his career. 2nd game of his career. Don't you love that?
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. and that's the thing is like if he had been around and already established that he's very inconsistent, you make that decision. Okay, then you're like, maybe it's still stupid, but you're like, well, at least he's had an opportunity. The guy hadn't even had an opportunity yet. And I get that kickers are pretty much expendable in the NFL, and there's only so many spots for them. And think about it. There's how many football teams? 130 something in the FBS, and each one of them's got a kicker good enough to be there, and they're all vying for 32 spots, right? That's the right number. 32 spots in the NFL. So I feel like they think that's super expendable, but I'll tell you who wasn't. Daniel Carlson.
Yeah, I mean, unproven or not, he wound up with a starting job in Las Vegas pretty quick.
It would, if you were going to retire at 46 or 47, the kicker is the position you could do it at. Just to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's why it's so crazy when we hear Brady playing for forever as a quarterback, but you think of a kicker. I mean, someone mentioned Adam Vinatieri. That guy was like looking like Santa Claus when he was retiring.
Brian says that Minnesota plays Vegas next year. Carlson will hit the game winner. It's already written.
You know what, Brian? I'm hoping for exactly that. I hate to tell you that. Your Vikings fandom. I really hate that, and I'm happy to call you a friend on this podcast. But no, I'm hoping for exactly that.
I think honestly, Brian's probably at the point now where he wants his team to be taught a lesson that they'll never forget when they get an opportunity to draft another Auburn kicker someday. Because this Alex McPherson's kid, come on now. I mean, not to just skip over Anders, but we know that he's had his big injury and has not had the most successful end to the career. So we're just kind of going with what's prevalent now, not dismissing him, but let's just kind of look at the future. So Minnesota Vikings, if you want to, amend all this when Alex is done in 4 years, sign him up and just ride it out and see what happens. Maybe one day it'll be Daniel versus Alex and who can kick the furthest,
Yes.
How old was Jerry Rice? I don't know. He was very old when he retired. Idea. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea on that one. Randy Moss should have come to Auburn. Was that a thing? Unbeaten Lake's been bringing this up. Was he going to come to Auburn?
What?
I don't. Never heard he was always Unbeaten Lake's brought this up before. Maybe he's just saying it to say it, but he was a West Virginia guy. He was a Marshall guy, but he's from West Virginia, and so he was like always about that area. So to me, I didn't know that he was going to come ever. I don't think he would have.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes up is Peyton Manning tells the story of trying to land Randy Moss at Tennessee.
That would make more sense, to be honest.
I guess.
Well, but think about it. If he's from West Virginia, they're very close, connected to each other, mountainous areas, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So. I think where this comes from is we talked about, I think this week a little bit on the Wednesday night show. What if, or maybe it was 2 Wednesday nights ago, what if this player had come to Auburn, like Russell Wilson.
You could do that you could do 15,000 episodes on that.
We just got done talking about the NBA rising stars and all that stuff. Imagine if Jalen Green had come to Auburn. Imagine if Kamunga, I think his name was, Greg Brown had come to Auburn. Imagine all that.
You need to go look up the interview that Charles did with somebody talking about how he was trying to get Dirk Nowitzki to come to Auburn when he was a teenager in Germany. He talks about the story of how he was talking to Dirk Nowitzki when he was a teenager in Germany, and they were playing over there, or it was for the Olympics or something. And he said, Charles said, I told that kid I offered him whatever dollar amount he wanted to come to Auburn, which of course this was pre-NIL days,
right?
So illegal. But it is hilarious to hear Charles talk about it. And so that's a big what if right there. Of course, that's back in, the early 2000s. So Auburn had a little more cred than they did in the mid 2000s. But that's a pretty big what if. It's like, okay, Kyle, we'll tie in your other life, the What If show on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
we could do a great Auburn series if somebody knew how to draw our animations for us of what if.
Yeah. Well, the big question would be, what if Cam Newton never came to Auburn?
Oh yeah. What if he
Would
goes to Mississippi State? Yep.
that if you want to take that show and apply it to any scenario, but obviously we're talking about Auburn stuff, that could result in some good things there. You could ask the question, what if Trey Mason cut right
Yep.
in the championship game, in that last play, if he cuts to the right, what if? Or if we,
what if Chris Davis stepped out? What if
Austin,
what if there wasn't 1 second left? We go to overtime.
No,
so many things.
What if Virginia didn't double dribble?
Yeah, because there'd be an Auburn national championship poster back here.
Or hey, what if they actually did double dribble? Let's actually get the people to realize that. I think
exactly.
I think we're reaching the annoying level on that, honestly. Like, I still play it up. Obviously, my sister-in-law works remotely for Virginia, and so any chance I talk to her now, I'm like, hey, Virginia double dribbled.
That's right.
But we're probably getting annoying on that. What if
I almost brought that one up? I almost brought that one up.
Can you imagine if Carlson wins that Iron Bowl?
That's part of that's part of that episode.
Just imagine what doesn't likely take place this offseason. Imagine the momentum that he has coming into this season. He probably still wouldn't have had a great season given what we know now, right?
Right.
But still, imagine we would be sitting here talking about the end of a season, probably making a bowl game at least, and well, maybe year 3 is going to be where it turns around, kind of thing. But now we're sitting here with brand new hopes and aspirations.
It's crazy.
It is weird to think about that. All right, we'll take a few more comments and questions, and then we'll let Austin get out of here. So drop those in now. But while you're getting those typed up, ready to go, a couple of reminders for you all as always. Our next scheduled live stream will be this Wednesday night, 2 times. I threw up 2 times. We will have our Auburn Family live stream at 8 p.m. We're leading you right up to tip off for the basketball game. And then right after the basketball game, we'll go live again for our reaction show. Stay tuned to the channel this week. We'll have a lot of other content out for you, as well as social media, the podcast app, all that stuff. Stay tuned this week. Other things you can do for us is check out the links in the description for ways that you can help support us by subscribing, and you can get on that giveaway. You can be a channel member. You can be a Booster Club member. All the things to help keep the lights on here at E2C Network and keep us doing this thing that we do and we love to do so much. So and smash the like button, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Those are the big things that you can do for us. So, Austin, I don't see any other questions. We'll give them one more second to do so. Any final thoughts on tonight?
No. What is our? I mean, I really don't. What is our?
That's every podcaster's worst nightmare. You pitch it over to someone and then no.
I know it. I'm not a season. People ask me all the time. They're like, so I see you have a podcast. I'm like, you don't understand. I don't do anything. Kyle does it all.
I try to make it easy on you.
I am. This is for really to talk about next week, but I am going to the other side of the state for that game.
That's tough, man.
The Shooty Hoops game.
That's tough, man. You be brave. You brave soul.
Hey, we're gonna walk in. I'm a hard fighting soldier. We're gonna walk in there. Yep, we're gonna see what happens.
Oh, we will see. Not feeling
well,
super
we're
confident.
Gonna try to see. You can't really see the court from that airplane hangar, but we're gonna try to see. So
see. You teed that up for yourself. I tried to take a swing at it, and you just said, "Nope, I'm gonna hit that. That's my ball."
Yeah, first. I came in and said that's. Look, we'll have. I'm sure that'll be worth 3 segments. So after that day, I'm sure.
Since it came up, David did the research for us. Jerry was 32 when he retired. So there you go. That's your last tidbit of information for the show. We brought it all back full circle in some way. But thank you guys so much for being here tonight, hanging out with us on the live recording before and afterward. And we'll be doing this again next week, but hope to see you on the channel, on social media, listening to the podcast, whatever, at some point this week. For myself and Austin, thank you guys so much. And we'll talk to you very, very soon. War Eagle.
War Eagle.